Hello and welcome to the Sleepy Scholar. You step outside into the quiet of night, where the air feels cooler, slower, almost holding its breath. The world around you is dim, softened by shadows, yet above you the sky opens wide, scattered with lights that seem both near and impossibly far. You tilt your head back, and in that simple gesture, the vastness of the universe spills gently into your eyes. This is where the journey begins. Not with rockets, not with telescopes, but with your own gaze reaching upward. For as long as there have been people, there have been questions born in this posture. The head tilted, the eyes lifted, the heart wondering. Ancient travelers used the stars to find their way across oceans. Farmers studied their patterns to know when to plant and when to harvest. Poets whispered to them, lovers wished upon them, and children counted them until sleep pulled them away. Each point of light is more than a dot on a canvas. It is a reminder that the sky has always been a mirror for human curiosity. And as you breathe in the night air, you realize you are part of that same long tradition. You stand where countless others have stood, asking silently, what lies beyond? Where does this wide darkness lead? If you could walk straight up into the night, step after step, would you ever find an edge, a wall, a boundary? Or would space continue forever, carrying you deeper into its silence? The stars themselves whisper part of the answer. That glimmer you see tonight left its home long ago. Some of the light began its journey when you were a child, some when humanity was still young, and some when Earth itself was forming. Looking up is not only a glance across distance, it is a glance back across time. The sky above you is not just a map of where things are, but a record of where they were, frozen moments carried by beams of light. It is easy, in this quiet, to imagine that the stars are fixed, unmoving, sprinkled on a still black surface. Yet, if you could watch for millions of years, you would see them drift, slowly changing patterns, rearranging constellations. Even the familiar shapes, the hunter, the bear, the swan, are temporary, fragile arrangements in the shifting dance of the cosmos. The universe is always in motion, though its steps are too slow for your single lifetime to catch. And so, gazing up becomes a meditation on time itself. You are standing still, but your planet is not. Earth spins beneath your feet, turning night into day and back again. It circles the sun at a speed too vast to feel. The sun itself orbits the center of the galaxy, carrying you and everything you know along with it. Even the galaxy drifts, part of a larger cosmic flow. You may feel still, yet you are moving through space in every moment of your existence. This thought is not meant to unsettle you, but to soothe you. You are not separate from the universe. You are carried by it, as naturally as a leaf is carried by the river's current. Every heartbeat of yours belongs to this wider rhythm. Every breath an exchange with stars that once lived and died to make the oxygen you inhale. When you look up, you are not a stranger to the night. You are its participant. But the question lingers gently. Does it end? If you kept following the stars, would you come to a stopping place, like reaching the edge of a map? Or would space stretch on forever, a path that never concludes? Your mind drifts between images. A long hallway with no walls, an endless field without a fence, a circle that carries you back to where you began. Infinity is a word, but in the dark of night, it feels like a feeling, a soft, ungraspable vastness. And yet, even as you let your imagination expand outward, the body pulls you back, inward. You feel your own weight, anchored to earth. Your feet rest on soil shaped by gravity, the same force that binds moons to planets, planets to stars, stars to galaxies. The same invisible thread that holds you close to Earth is also what keeps the heavens in their quiet formations. To look up is to look out, but also to sense the connection that ties you in. You begin to notice the details, the faint Milky Way spilling across the sky like a river of light, the quiet shimmer of a distant planet, reflecting the sun's glow, the occasional streak of a meteor carving its brief path. Each detail is a reminder. The sky is not empty, not silent, but alive with motion, with messages carried on light and gravity. The darkness is only an illusion. In truth, it is filled with more than you could ever count, and slowly, the stillness of night deepens. The air feels cooler now, your breath softer, your body heavier. The stars, though steady, seem to pulse gently with your own heartbeat. You realize the act of looking up is also the act of slowing down, of resting in the face of enormity. There is no rush here. Space stretches, and you stretch with it, your thoughts drifting wider, your questions softening at their edges. You may not find an answer tonight, but perhaps that is not the point. To look up is to step into a conversation with the universe that has no end. It is not about reaching a final word, but about listening to the quiet between words. The sky does not hurry, and neither should you. You allow yourself to rest in wonder, and wonder itself becomes a form of rest. Yet as your eyes linger, you notice something else, a subtle truth. No matter how far you look, the horizon is always there, just beyond your reach. Like the line where sea meets sky, space offers a horizon that moves away as you approach. It is this elusive horizon, this vanishing line of sight, that will guide you deeper into the journey. And so, the question grows gentler but sharper. If every horizon slips away, what does that mean for space itself? Could it be that what you call the end is always receding, always out of reach? You let the thought settle in you, like a pebble dropped into still water, its ripples spreading slowly outward. You close your eyes for a moment, carrying the stars within your mind. Their light remains, imprinted like glowing echoes. When you open them again, the night has not changed, but you have. You are not only looking at the sky, you are entering it, step by step, through thought and wonder. And with that quiet recognition, you find yourself standing at the threshold of the next thought, that every horizon you chase drifts further back, as if space itself resists being caught. You remember the feeling of standing at the ocean's edge, watching the horizon. No matter how far you walk along the shore, the line where sky meets sea keeps moving, always out of reach. The closer you try to come, the farther it drifts. Space feels the same. You tilt your gaze upward, and though the stars shine steady, their distances are like horizons, forever receding, forever out beyond your steps. The universe does not hold still. It breathes outward, expanding softly yet relentlessly. Galaxies are carried away not because they are moving through space, but because space itself is stretching between them. Imagine dots drawn on a balloon. As the balloon inflates, the dots move apart, not because they slide along the surface, but because the surface itself grows larger. This is the quiet secret of the universe. Even without motion, things drift apart. You let this picture settle in your mind. A balloon stretching, not with the fast pop of a party trick, but with the slow inhale of something infinite. Each galaxy, like a tiny ink mark, grows farther from its neighbors. The space between is not empty. It is fabric. It is stage. It is the unseen field that carries to all actors in its play. The stage itself grows wider, and the players spread apart without ever taking a step. And you realize this means there is no fixed center. No place in the universe can claim to be the point from which all others retreat. Every galaxy sees its neighbors drift away. Every horizon feels as if it lies at the middle. Even here, on your small planet, when you look out into the night, it feels as though the stars withdraw from you personally, but they are withdrawing from everywhere, equally. The center is not a place, but a story the universe tells to all its listeners. It can be difficult to imagine space itself growing, because space is not something you can touch. You cannot scoop it in your hands. But think of bread dough rising, tiny raisins trapped inside. As the dough swells, the raisins drift apart. None of them move on their own, yet all find themselves farther from the others. The yeast does not choose which raisin to push, it expands the whole loaf at once. And so, the galaxies separate, carried by a cosmic rising that never ceases. Scientists have measured this expansion. They have seen galaxies shift in their light, stretching toward the red end of the spectrum, like a sigh elongated across distance. They call this redshift, a soft fingerprint of motion written in starlight. To your eye, the stars above look steady, but through telescopes, their messages reveal that they are all moving away. Their wavelengths stretch thin by the growing space between. You let yourself sink into the rhythm of this thought. Horizons are never still. They always retreat, inviting you to follow, but never letting you arrive. The universe itself is an ever-retreating horizon. The farther you peer, the faster galaxies seem to run, until, at the deepest distances, they slip away beyond even the speed of light. Not because they break a rule, but because the stage itself, the space they stand on, has stretched them beyond your reach. This realization brings a strange calm. You are not meant to catch the horizon. You are meant to walk toward it, to feel its pull, to let it remind you that discovery is not about possession, but pursuit. The horizon is the universe's way of keeping you moving, always inviting you to wonder what lies just beyond. And in this expansion, there is also intimacy, for even as galaxies grow farther apart, the laws that govern them are shared. Gravity still tugs, light still travels, atoms still hum with their quiet vibrations. The fabric may stretch, but the threads that weave it are the same everywhere. To look at a distant star is to look at yourself reflected, made of the same elements, obeying the same rules, carried by the same currents of expansion. As you linger with this thought, you notice how horizons in your own life echo this cosmic truth. The more you reach for certainty, the more questions unfold. The more knowledge you gather, the more mysteries stretch ahead. Just as galaxies flee your gaze, answers drift into new questions, pulling you onward. Horizons teach you patience. They remind you that the path of discovery is not about finishing, but about continuing. The universe expands not in silence alone, but in balance. The force that pushes galaxies apart is gentle, but it competes with the gravity that holds them together. Imagine children holding hands in a circle, each pulling inward, while the floor beneath them grows wider. Some circles hold firm, refusing to be stretched apart. These are galaxies, bound together by their shared gravity. But the larger the circle, the more difficult it is to hold. Beyond certain scales, the outward stretch wins, and groups of galaxies drift apart forever. This delicate dance explains why the night sky is full of both closeness and distance. You see the Milky Way wrapped around you, stars bound tightly in its spiral arms. Yet beyond that, other galaxies recede, entire islands of light carried away by expansion. Closeness and distance coexist, intimacy and separation woven together in the same cosmic fabric. You may find yourself wondering, if horizons always move away, does that mean there is no end at all? The thought can feel dizzying, like standing at the edge of a cliff and realizing the drop has no bottom. But rather than overwhelm, let it soothe you. There is no final wall to crash against, no edge to cut your journey short. The retreating horizon means there is always more to dream of, always more to imagine. You close your eyes and picture walking forward, step by step, into the night. Each time you think you are nearing the boundary, the stars shift, the galaxies slip further, the horizon redraws itself. Yet this endless retreat is not cruel. It is generous. It means your questions are never finished. It means wonder has no boundary. It means you are always in the middle of something larger, never trapped at the end. The expansion of the universe is not something you feel in your daily life. Atoms do not stretch. Your body does not elongate. Your room does not widen. The bonds that hold matter together resist this vast breadth. But on the scale of galaxies, expansion rules. It is a tide that only becomes visible when you step back far enough. Like watching the sea from high cliffs, you cannot see the waves when you are too close, but from above, their rhythm becomes clear. And so, standing in the quiet night, you realize you are both too small to feel expansion and yet vast enough in thought to imagine it. Your mind can travel beyond the horizon, even as your body stays here, grounded. In this paradox lies the wonder. You are bounded, but your curiosity is not. The night deepens, and the horizon of stars remains steady, though you now see them differently. They are not fixed beacons, but companions in motion, carried away slowly, endlessly. You breathe with them, imagining the universe itself, inhaling, exhaling, stretching wider with every cosmic breath. And just as your breath slows, your thoughts soften. You let the image of the stretching balloon drift in your mind, a simple metaphor for a profound reality. The horizon you see will never be reached, yet it always calls you forward. That call is gentle, like a lullaby woven in starlight. As you listen, the next question stirs softly in you. If the universe is expanding like a breath, what is the rhythm of that breath? Does space have a heartbeat of its own, steady and endless, carrying you farther into the mystery? You place your hand gently on your chest and notice the rise and fall. Inhale, exhale. The rhythm is so constant, so ordinary, that you rarely give it thought. Yet, in this small motion, you discover a mirror of something far greater. The universe itself seems to breathe, an expansion so slow, so immense, that it is felt not in lungs, but in galaxies. When scientists first discovered that the universe is expanding, it was as if they had caught it mid-breath. Light from distant galaxies showed its secret. That light, stretched longer as it traveled across widening space, revealed that galaxies were drifting away, like boats rising on a tide, not because they paddled outward, but because the water beneath them, the space itself, was swelling. Imagine standing on a shore, watching the sea swell with the pull of the moon. Ships anchored in the distance rise quietly, carried upward by the tide, their sails still. The ocean lifts them without effort. The universe, too, lifts galaxies, spreading them apart without wind, without waves, only through its own expanding breath. Your mind tries to hold this image. Every galaxy, every cluster of stars carried apart as though the very air between them is stretching. But this air is not air. It is space-time itself, the invisible fabric of reality. And unlike your breath, which cycles in and out, the universe's breath only moves in one direction. For now, it inhales, it grows, it swells outward, and everything within it follows. This expansion has been going on for billions of years, since the universe's earliest moments. At first, it was unimaginably fast, a rapid inflation that pushed the cosmos from smaller than an atom to larger than a galaxy in the blink of an eye. Since then, the pace has slowed, but it has never stopped. Even now, space grows. Galaxies drift, stars shift, and the fabric that holds them all continues to stretch wider and wider without pause. And here, in your quiet moment, you let yourself imagine this expansion as a heartbeat, not the sharp thud of muscle, but a soft, slow pulse, each moment carrying galaxies farther apart. It is a rhythm too large to feel directly, yet it cradles you all the same. You live inside this expanding breath, part of its tide, part of its motion. Every thought you have, every dream you hold, unfolds within a universe that is gently, steadily growing. Some find this truth unsettling, as though everything is being pulled away into cold emptiness, but you may find comfort in it. Expansion is not destruction. It is creation. It makes room for stars to form, for planets to emerge, for life to awaken. Without it, the cosmos would be crowded, collapsing under its own weight. Instead, it expands, offering openness, offering space for wonder itself. Think again of your own breath. Each inhale brings room, expansion in your chest, space for life to continue. The universe's breath is like that, an opening, a widening, a continuous making of room for everything to exist. Its exhale, if it ever comes, would be a long collapse, a drawing back inward. But tonight, you live in the inhale, in the widening tide. You float like a boat on water, carried by currents older than stars. The galaxies you see in the sky are more than lanterns. They are passengers in this same expansion. Some are close, still bound tightly to us by gravity, as the Andromeda Galaxy is, destined one day to merge with our Milky Way. But most are drifting farther away. The more distant they are, the faster they retreat, like dancers pulling back in a widening circle. Some move so swiftly, carried by the expansion, that their light will never reach you. They slip beyond the cosmic horizon, vanishing not by speed alone, but by the stretching of space itself. This thought may feel heavy at first, the idea that most of the universe is forever beyond your reach. Yet in the quiet of night, it may feel lighter too. You are free from the need to hold it all, free to let go, knowing that mystery will always remain. Expansion ensures that wonder is never exhausted. The universe is always more than you can touch, always larger than your arms, always deeper than your vision. Scientists give this expansion a name: the Hubble flow. It is the steady drift of galaxies away from one another, measured and mapped by their light. The more distant the galaxy, the faster it seems to flee, not because it rushes under its own power, but because space-time itself stretches more between you and it. Like dots on a balloon, the farther apart they are, the more swiftly they seem to move. This is the mathematics of expansion, hidden inside the poetry of starlight. And beneath this expansion lies an even deeper mystery. What drives it? Why does space stretch at all? Long ago, many thought gravity would slow the universe down, pulling it back together like a stone tossed into the air, destined to fall. But measurements showed the opposite. Expansion is not slowing. It is speeding up. Something unknown, something invisible, seems to be pushing galaxies apart with growing strength. Scientists call it dark energy, though the name hides more than it reveals. Dark energy is a whisper you cannot hear, a tide you cannot see. It flows everywhere, filling the cosmos with a push that keeps horizons slipping farther back. And though you cannot touch it, you feel its presence in the retreat of galaxies, in the very fact that space continues to grow. In this chapter of the universe's story, dark energy plays the role of breath itself, the force that keeps expansion moving. As you reflect on this, you notice again your own breathing. Inhale, exhale. Each motion feels larger now, connected to something vast. Your body and the cosmos share this rhythm, though on scales unimaginably different. You breathe for life. The universe breathes for existence itself. And slowly, a calm thought settles in. You are not separate from this rhythm. The atoms in your body were once part of stars, scattered by explosions across space. They drifted, carried by expansion, until they joined together here to form you. You are made of stardust, gathered by cosmic breath, woven by expansion into the person you are now. You breathe, and the universe breathes. You expand in thought and wonder, just as galaxies expand in space. The rhythm is shared, the heartbeat continuous, the breath eternal for now. The night deepens, and you close your eyes for a moment. You imagine floating in this tide, galaxies drifting beside you like lanterns on a dark river. The breath of the universe carries you forward, gently, endlessly. But as soothing as this thought is, another question stirs quietly in your mind. If space expands, carrying galaxies farther apart, what does that mean for light itself? Does light, too, stretch on this tide? Does every beam of starlight arrive altered by the journey? And so, as you drift in the rhythm of expansion, you begin to wonder softly, if galaxies are carried away like boats on a tide, then what becomes of the light they send across this widening sea? You lift your eyes toward the night sky, and what meets you is not simply darkness filled with scattered sparks. It is history written across the heavens, each star a storyteller, each glimmer a voice that began speaking long before you were here to listen. Light does not hurry, yet it travels endlessly, carrying tales across gulfs so wide that your mind can only trace them through wonder. Every photon, every delicate packet of light, begins its journey deep within the heart of a star. There, immense pressure squeezes hydrogen atoms together until they merge, releasing energy that struggles upward, layer by layer, until at last it breaks free. The moment it escapes, the photon takes flight, heading into space. Perhaps it moves toward nothingness, or perhaps one quiet night it finds its way into your waiting eye. When you see the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, you are not seeing it as it is right now. You are seeing it as it was more than 4 years ago. Light needs time, even though It is the fastest traveler the universe allows. It moves at almost 300,000 kilometers per second, but the universe is so vast that even this cosmic sprint feels slow. What you witness in the sky is always the past, never the present. The stars above are time machines, each one opening a door to another era. The light of Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, left just over 8 years ago. The glow of Betelgeuse began its journey more than 600 years in the past, before telescopes, before maps of the heavens, before much of what you know as history even unfolded. When you look at it now, you are looking at light that began moving while empires still stood, and voices long silenced still filled the air of their world. And then there are galaxies. The Andromeda Galaxy, spiraling quietly in the distance, sends you light that has been traveling for more than 2 million years. When that light began its crossing, the first humans were only beginning to leave their traces on Earth. Some galaxies reveal themselves across billions of years, their faint glow reaching your eyes as whispers from a time when the universe was young. You are not simply stargazing. You are listening to echoes of creation. But not all light arrives. Beyond a certain distance, space expands too quickly, and the light stretches endlessly, its wave growing longer and fainter until it fades into invisibility. These are the words you will never read, the letters from stars and galaxies that vanish before they can reach you. Even so, they remind you of the enormity of what lies beyond sight, stories written but forever undelivered. Think of each photon as a traveler who never rests. Unlike you, it does not tire, does not grow old. A single ray of light could journey for billions of years across the empty plains of intergalactic space, weaving around clusters of galaxies, slipping past black holes, and still continue on without pause. It is a persistence unlike anything else you know. Sometimes, light bends. When it passes near something massive, a star, a galaxy, even invisible dark matter, gravity curves its path. Astronomers call this gravitational lensing, but you might imagine it instead as light bowing gently, acknowledging the pull of another presence. In these bends and distortions, light carries hidden maps, showing you the weight of things you cannot otherwise see. It whispers not only about the star it came from, but about every obstacle and influence it encountered along the way. There is also a deeper truth within light. Because it moves at the ultimate speed, from its own perspective, there is no time between leaving a star and entering your eye. For the photon, there is no journey, no distance. It is as though the universe itself collapses into a single touch, a direct connection between origin and destination. To you, the travel takes years, even eons. To the photon, it simply is. This strangeness bends your thoughts, reminding you that reality is not always what it seems from where you stand. As you sit with these ideas, the night sky feels different. The stars do not look merely scattered. They seem alive, sending you a ceaseless river of messages, each one a fragment of time. Your eyes are not just organs of sight, they are receivers, delicate instruments tuned to light's endless broadcast. To gaze upward is to open yourself to an archive so vast it humbles every thought of limits. There is comfort in this continuity. Long before you existed, light was already crossing the dark. Long after you are gone, it will continue. You are part of its story only for a brief moment, but in that moment, you become linked to ages that span far beyond your life. Light connects you to the newborn fire of stars, to the silent unfolding of galaxies, to the memory of the cosmos itself. And so, when you close your eyes after looking up, you carry the glow inside you. The photons have finished their journey, their story complete as they dissolve into your vision. But their meaning lingers, stirring questions you can never quite put down. How much of the universe is written in light you will never see? How many letters remain unopened, traveling still, perhaps forever? The night leaves you with this quiet awareness that what you see is never what is, but what was. Light is both messenger and mirror, reflecting not only the cosmos, but your place within it. Each star reminds you of time's river, each glimmer of the universe's vast patience. And as you drift deeper into thought, another mystery rises gently at the edge of your mind. If light can travel endlessly, then what, if anything, can ever bring it to rest? You close your eyes, and for a moment, the universe feels infinite. Stars are scattered like sparks upon velvet, galaxies spin like quiet whirlpools of light, and space itself seems to go on without end. But there is a truth, whispered by astronomers, a truth that feels both comforting and strange. There is a limit to what you can see, not because the universe ends, but because light has only had so much time to travel. This soft boundary is called the cosmic horizon, and it wraps around you like the edge of a dream. Imagine standing at the shore of an endless sea. The water stretches on, wave after wave, farther than your eyes can reach, yet at some distant line, the ocean blurs into sky. You know the sea continues beyond that hazy line, but to you, it dissolves into mist. The cosmic horizon is like that horizon of the sea, a boundary of vision, not of existence. It is not the edge of space itself, but the edge of what light has had time to bring you. The universe is young, if you measure it in cosmic time. Around 13.8 billion years have passed since the first burst of creation, the Big Bang. From that beginning, light has been racing outward, carrying with it the story of stars and galaxies. But light moves at a finite speed, and time itself is finite. You can only see as far as light has traveled since that first moment. Beyond that distance, the story is still on its way to you, traveling at the quiet pace of photons across the dark. This limit, the cosmic horizon, forms a kind of sphere around you. Every direction you look, the horizon lies at roughly the same distance, about 46 billion light-years away. Not 13.8 billion as you might expect, but more, because the fabric of space itself has stretched and expanded while light has been traveling through it. It is as though you are inside a great glowing bubble, with galaxies painted across its inner wall. Yet beyond that wall, there is more universe, so much more, that you cannot yet touch with your sight. Think of it like listening to a melody. The song began long before you pressed play. Notes have been unfolding, rising and falling, creating patterns. But when you first begin listening, you only hear from that point forward. The earlier notes exist, but they are out of your reach. The universe sings in the same way. The melody of creation has always been larger, but you hear only what has reached you so far. When astronomers look deep into the night sky, past stars, past galaxies, past clusters of galaxies, they find themselves staring toward the edge of this horizon. What they see there is not stars, but a soft, ancient glow, the cosmic microwave background. This faint radiation is the afterlight of the Big Bang itself, stretched thin and cooled over billions of years. It is not the first light, but it is the oldest light you can see. Beyond it, the universe was once too hot, too dense, for light to escape. The horizon, then, is not just about distance, it is about time. Looking farther means looking deeper into the past, until eventually you arrive at a time when light itself could not yet roam free. You are surrounded by this cosmic horizon, as though wrapped in a blanket woven from ancient light. And yet, the mind naturally wonders, what lies beyond? Do galaxies stretch endlessly, spiraling into forever? Are there other structures, unseen and untouched by your eyes? The answer, whispered by physics, is yes. Beyond the horizon, the universe continues. You cannot see it, not yet, but it unfolds with the same elegance, the same scattering of galaxies, the same silent rhythm. And here lies the wonder. Your horizon is not fixed. It is slowly expanding. With each passing year, light from farther galaxies reaches you, adding new brushstrokes to the cosmic painting. The universe reveals itself to you not all at once, but slowly, like a story told across eternity. You are always standing at the edge of discovery, your vision growing, the veil lifting little by little. The idea that the universe is larger than what you can see is both humbling and freeing. Your mind may imagine space ending with the horizon as though the bubble were a container, but the truth is more like the ocean. The horizon moves with you, no matter where you stand. If you were somehow transported to a galaxy billions of light years away, your horizon would shift, creating a new bubble of visibility. The cosmic horizon is not the universe's edge. It is the edge of your perception. Consider this. Right now, in some faraway galaxy, new stars are being born. Stars whose light has not yet begun its long journey to you. They exist, burning quietly, shaping planets, perhaps nurturing life. But to you, they are hidden, waiting in silence until their light finds you. Maybe billions of years from now. The horizon, then, is also a promise, a reminder that more of the universe is always on its way. And as you imagine this, notice how it mirrors your own life. There are horizons within you too, boundaries of experience, places you cannot yet see. Beyond them lies growth, knowledge, moments that have not yet arrived. You move through your own horizon, just as the universe moves through its own. Each day, the unseen becomes visible. The unknown becomes part of your story. The cosmos and your life are bound by this same quiet rhythm of unfolding. The cosmic horizon also whispers a more mysterious thought. If the universe is larger than what you can see, could it be infinite? Could galaxies go on without end, stretching into a vastness too great for any mind to hold? Or could the universe bend back on itself, like the surface of a sphere, so that if you traveled far enough, you would eventually return to where you began? No one knows for certain. The horizon hides the answer, holding it just beyond reach. And yet, perhaps the mystery is part of the beauty. The horizon invites wonder because it is unfinished. Like the soft blur at the edge of a dream, it reminds you that there is more than you can grasp, more than you can measure. It allows your imagination to wander into the unknown, to picture galaxies unseen, to feel the stretch of infinity pressing gently against your thoughts. You might picture yourself sailing through the cosmos, drifting toward the horizon. The galaxies thin out, the light grows older, and eventually you reach that quiet glow, the afterlight of the beginning. Beyond it, the view fades, not because space ends, but because your vision does. It is like standing at the edge of a foggy field. You know the land continues, even though your eyes see only mist. And so, the cosmic horizon is both a boundary and an invitation. It humbles you by showing how much you cannot see. but it comforts you by reminding you that what you can see is already vast, beyond measure. Even within your horizon, there are 2 trillion galaxies, each with billions of stars. The limit is not a cage, it is simply the frame of your current vision. As you rest with this thought, let yourself imagine the slow unfolding of time. Light is still traveling. Galaxies are still sending their stories to you. Your horizon is breathing, growing, whispering of new wonders that will one day arrive. The universe is not static, and neither are you. Both are journeys, each step revealing more of what lies beyond. And when you wonder about what lies farther still, past all horizons, you find yourself brushing against another question. If the cosmic horizon is the edge of sight, what lies beyond the edge of time? If light has a limit, what about space itself? Could the universe truly have no end? Or does it fold back in ways you cannot yet imagine? The thought lingers softly, like a note held at the end of a song, leading you toward the next mystery. You close your eyes and imagine the horizon, not the one you know, where the sun dips gently into the sea or the hills dissolve into the sky. This horizon is different. It is not curved blue fading into evening. It is the edge of everything you have ever seen. The rim of human vision. The farthest whisper our telescopes can reach. When you picture it, it feels both close and impossibly far. A thin veil stretched across the cosmos, a fragile curtain beyond which lies silence. You know it isn't a wall. Space does not end there. Yet your eyes, your instruments, your technology, they cannot move beyond. It is a horizon of sight, not of space itself. And still, you wonder, what waits beyond? Light carries the story of the universe, but light also takes time to travel. What you see, even from the nearest stars, is not the present, but a delayed whisper of the past. The farther you look, the further back in time you stand. Your sight becomes a time machine, carrying you not forward but backward. When you look out into space, you are not only looking at distance, you are watching history unfold in silence. The galaxies closest to us glow with a relatively recent light, millions of years old. Step further, and you find galaxies whose light began its journey billions of years ago. At the very edge of visibility, you reach nearly 14 billion years in the past, to the faint afterglow of the Big Bang itself. That glow, stretched thin into microwaves, is like a soft, lingering hum, filling all directions. It is the echo of creation, a cradle song of beginnings. And yet, beyond that glow, your sight falters, not because space is absent, but because light has not had enough time to arrive. The horizon you imagine is the cosmic horizon, a line drawn not by walls, but by time itself. The universe expands faster than light can travel, pulling distant realms away from us faster than their light can ever reach. They are out there, whole galaxies, clusters, perhaps structures stranger than we can name, but hidden beyond the curtain of time. This thought quiets you. You realize that beyond sight is not emptiness. Beyond sight are chapters unwritten, stories unseen, perhaps even laws of physics untested. The beyond is not blankness. It is simply unrevealed. Like a page of a book still closed, resting just past your fingertips. You let yourself wander deeper into the image. Imagine walking through a hallway of doors. Each door you open is a telescope, each revealing a further chamber of the cosmos. You open one door, and galaxies pour out like jewels on velvet. You open another, and quasars burn, the lighthouses of the early universe. You step into another and find nebulae, glowing like stained glass in cathedrals of gas. And then, at last, you arrive at the final visible door. Beyond it, nothing. Not because there is nothing to see, but because the light has not yet arrived to turn the darkness into image. The silence of that place is not frightening. It is humbling. You sense how small your reach is. You, with all your knowledge, all your science, all your imagination, remain pressed against a window that only opens so far. Beyond it, mystery stretches endlessly. And yet, even within what you cannot see, your mind can wander. Scientists imagine what lies beyond. Perhaps galaxies, just like ours, continue, infinitely repeating. Perhaps space bends back upon itself like the surface of a sphere, and beyond sight lies simply a return to what has already been. Perhaps other laws of physics bloom there, worlds where light behaves differently, where matter takes unfamiliar forms, where life, if it exists, dreams in ways unimaginable to us. The beyond is a canvas for both science and wonder. Data tells us what light reveals. Equations suggest how far the curtain might stretch. But imagination is free to walk beyond, to sketch possibilities where sight cannot yet confirm. You stand in that place, half within knowledge, half within dream. The tension between what you know and what you yearn to see becomes its own quiet music. Space expands, always expanding. Every second, galaxies drift further apart, carried on the current of cosmic growth. The beyond is not still. It is rushing away. Like waves retreating from shore, it recedes faster than you can chase. Even if you had a ship faster than imagination, you could never reach it, for the space between grows faster still. The universe, in its vastness, preserves its secrets, and yet some light does slip through. Photons, tiny messengers, manage to cross billions of years to find your eyes, your instruments, your imagination. When you gaze into the sky, you are touching threads from places so far away they may no longer exist in the same form. You are, in a sense, communing with ghosts of galaxies. They beam their story across time, and you listen. The beyond may hide, but it still speaks in echoes. You begin to see the beyond not as an absence, but as a promise. The fact that you cannot yet see it means there is always more. More to learn, more to wonder, more to seek. The beyond is an invitation to curiosity. It is the universe whispering, not yet, but someday. Close your eyes again, and the horizon softens. You are not standing against a hard edge. You are floating in a sea whose waters continue forever, even if your lamp of vision only reaches a small circle. Outside that circle, the waves roll on. You cannot touch them, but you can know they are there. And so, the beyond becomes not frightening, but comforting. Infinity itself holds you gently. What lies unseen is part of what makes the universe beautiful. For if you could see everything at once, if every mystery were revealed in an instant, the wonder would fade. The beyond preserves wonder. It guards it like treasure, waiting to be discovered, slowly, piece by piece, with patience, across generations. Your breath slows. You imagine your life, your thoughts, your heart, all as small sparks drifting in this endless expanse. Beyond sight, countless other sparks must exist. They too drift, unknown, unseen, yet real. The beyond is not barren. It is a continuation, a promise that the story of existence extends far past your window. And as you hold that thought, you sense the transition to another question forming gently in your mind. If beyond sight lies mystery, then perhaps beyond matter lies mystery as well. For the universe is not only stars and galaxies, it is also the unseen frameworks holding them together, the invisible threads of gravity, dark matter, and the still more elusive presence of dark energy. The curtain of space hides galaxies, but another curtain, more subtle, more hidden, may veil the very fabric of what space is made of. And so you leave this horizon with a quiet breath, feeling its pull, feeling its silence, wondering softly, what unseen forces shape the things you cannot see? Infinity is a word that feels endless, but it is also a shape that waits for your imagination to trace its outline. You may think of it as a straight line, stretching across the horizon, going further than your eyes can follow. A line that whispers, no boundary, no wall, no final point. This kind of infinity feels simple, almost comforting, like walking down a quiet road that never forces you to stop. Yet infinity does not only wear the shape of a line, it changes costumes, shifting into circles, spirals, and even patterns hidden inside patterns. Each form offers a new way to hold something that cannot be held. Imagine first the infinity of a circle. You step into it and walk, feeling the ground beneath you curving still as you continue. Step after step, the path loops back, carrying you to where you began, yet somehow also taking you nowhere and everywhere at once. A circle is infinite because it never admits to an ending. It hides the illusion of arrival by folding endings into beginnings. Ancient philosophers found in circles the promise of eternity, of time repeating, of stars tracing round dances across the night. As you picture this, the calmness of the circle seeps into your breathing. You are not rushing forward. You are circling gently as the planets do. But infinity has another shape, the spiral. A spiral begins like a circle, but it does not close. Instead, it winds outward, each turn leading you further away, while still echoing the turn before it. Spirals are painted on shells, whispered in galaxies, drawn into the patterns of storms and flowers. You imagine standing at the heart of a spiral, watching it unfurl in endless grace, each curve like a quiet promise that there is always more beyond what you see. The spiral is infinity in motion, not static, not repeating, but endlessly expanding, forever becoming something larger. To sit with the spiral is to rest with the thought that growth itself may have no finish line. Now picture infinity as a fractal. This is not a line, not a circle, not even a spiral, but a pattern that hides within itself. Look closely at the branches of a fern, and you see that each small branch is shaped like the whole. Look at snowflakes, or coastlines, or clouds, and you find shapes repeating within shapes. In a fractal, infinity lives in the details, in the way you can zoom in forever and never reach the smallest piece. Each step inward opens into more, like doors that keep revealing doors. Infinity here is not out there, stretching into distant space, but right here, in the smallest folds of reality. Infinity can also take the form of dimensions you cannot easily picture. Mathematicians speak of endless planes, curves folded through higher spaces, geometries that defy your sense of direction. Imagine space bending like fabric, folding over itself, so that a journey outward can become a loop inward. Imagine a universe where parallel lines meet at infinity, not because the lines change, but because infinity itself bends the stage on which they travel. These shapes are harder to see, but your mind can wander gently toward them, as if following a trail of soft starlight. You do not need to solve the riddle. You only need to let it unfold, slow and patient. As you drift deeper into the thought of infinity, you begin to notice that it always carries a paradox. Infinity is simple, like a child drawing a line that refuses to stop. Yet infinity is also complex, like the endless folds of a fractal leaf. It is both near and far, both reachable in imagination and unreachable in fact. You are reminded that your mind itself is shaped to touch infinity. Each thought you have can lead to another and another still. The chain of reflection does not demand a final answer. It simply carries you gently as though you too are a spiral turning outward into the dark. Infinity has always been a companion to human wonder. Poets see it in the sea, where the horizon melts into sky, giving the illusion of endless water. Scientists see it in numbers, where counting never halts, each digit leading to another, a ladder without a top rung. Mystics see it in silence, where the absence of sound expands into a vastness beyond measure. When you pause to breathe, you too may feel a moment of infinity, a stretch of time that opens, weightless, unhurried, before flowing on. The beauty of infinity lies not only in its vastness, but in its tenderness. Infinity does not rush you. It does not demand you reach the end. Instead, it offers you the comfort that there is no end to reach. You can rest in a line, walk in a circle, drift with a spiral, or peer into a fractal. Each path reminds you that existence itself does not need a final boundary to be whole. The idea that there is always more stars, more thoughts, more mysteries, becomes a lullaby, a soft hum of continuity. Perhaps then, infinity is not only a property of space or mathematics, perhaps it is also a way of perceiving. When you look at a night sky, you cannot count the stars, yet you feel the presence of countless ones beyond sight. When you listen to the rhythm of your heartbeat, you sense that time does not pause for you, that it flows beyond your noticing, endlessly. Infinity is not something you hold in your hands. It is something you enter by simply being alive, by simply noticing that there is no last moment of noticing. As you sit with these shapes of infinity, you may feel the quiet paradox of being small within something so vast. You, a single mind, imagining circles that never close, spirals that never settle, numbers that never stop. It is humbling, but it is also strangely calming. For if infinity exists, then every worry, every fear, every unfinished thought is only a small curve within a larger pattern, a detail folded into something immeasurably wide. The line stretches on. The circle loops again. The spiral widens still. The fractal reveals more. Infinity does not end, and so your thoughts are allowed to rest within it. And yet, even here, questions remain. What if space itself follows one of these shapes? Could the universe be a straight line of time, forever marching? Could it be a circle, looping back on itself, so that endings and beginnings are the same? Could it be a spiral, expanding outward without ever stopping? Or could it be a fractal, where every galaxy reflects the structure of all others, endlessly repeating the same hidden code? The truth is not yet known, and perhaps cannot be, but to wonder is enough. To drift among these possibilities is its own gentle voyage. You close your eyes, picturing yourself on that quiet road without end, or walking in circles around the universe, or standing at the center of a spiral galaxy as it turns endlessly outward. The image softens into dream. The mind loosens, and infinity takes on the shape of stillness. And in that stillness, you begin to feel another question stirring. If infinity wears so many shapes, then perhaps the space that contains us is not fixed, but flowing, not rigid, but alive. You wonder, softly, what it means for space itself to have a shape. You lie still, and the thought begins to ripple across your mind. What if space truly ends? Not in the way a road ends, not like the horizon where sky meets sea, but an ending that cannot be touched, cannot even be imagined fully. Beyond it, not emptiness, not void, but something deeper, nothingness. It is hard to hold that thought because the human mind has always known something rather than nothing. Even when you close your eyes, there is darkness. Even when you plug your ears, there is the soft hum of your body. Even when you stop speaking, silence is never pure. It is filled with the faint murmur of existence. But what would it mean to face the absence of all this? What would it mean to drift into a place where there is not even space to drift through? You imagine walking to the edge of a vast field. The grass stretches in all directions, endless. Yet suddenly, in one direction, there is no more ground, no more air, no more distance. You reach forward, and your hand touches not a wall, not a barrier, but the end of extension itself. You cannot go farther because farther no longer exists. The mind resists this vision. It twists, it argues, it tries to reshape the concept into something familiar. Perhaps the end of space would be a boundary you could see, a curtain, a shimmering veil. Perhaps it would feel like standing at the shore of an ocean, waves lapping at your feet, while infinity spreads beyond. But true nothingness does not look like anything. It does not feel like anything. It simply withdraws the possibility of experience. Physicists sometimes wonder, is the universe infinite, or is it finite but unbounded? The words themselves slip like water through your fingers. Infinite, never-ending, forever unfolding. Finite but unbounded, like the surface of a sphere. You can walk endlessly around Earth without finding an edge, even though Earth itself is not infinite. Could space itself be curved back upon itself, so that traveling straight enough, long enough, might return you to your starting point? If so, then there is no outside, no beyond, no nothingness waiting. Just an elegant looping of existence, containing everything within itself. And yet, another possibility remains, that there is an edge, a place where space itself thins, dwindles, and then ceases to exist. Beyond that, not vacuum, not blackness, but an utter lack. This idea stirs a quiet unease, because you are used to the comfort of boundaries. Rooms have walls, oceans have shores. Even life itself has a beginning and an end. But to stand at a place where there is not even an end, only the sudden absence of everything, feels strange, almost vertiginous. You picture yourself drifting through the stars, moving outward and outward, passing galaxies, quasars, and the faint light of ancient suns. The farther you travel, the thinner the scattering of matter becomes. At last, even starlight grows rare. The dark between worlds deepens. Still, you go on. propelled by curiosity, by the question itself. Then, after an unimaginable journey, there comes a stillness. Space itself stops. Your mind hovers there, trembling on the brink of understanding. You try to imagine what lies beyond. But here, imagination falters, for imagination itself depends on space, on extension, on a stage for images to appear. Without space, the thought has nowhere to unfold. You are left with a silence, a blankness, not of darkness, but of absence. And in that absence, you feel something unexpected, peace. Because if there is nothing, then there is no distance to cross, no struggle to endure. Time itself might dissolve, change might fade. In nothingness, even the burden of being is lifted. Some thinkers say that nothingness is impossible, that the human mind cannot even conceive it properly. They argue that even if space ended, something must exist beyond, a dimension hidden, a reality outside our reach. Others argue the opposite, that nothingness is the most natural state and existence itself is the true mystery, the unlikely spark in an endless quiet. When you close your eyes again, you realize how much of your inner world is filled with noise, thoughts rushing, memories colliding, fears and hopes buzzing like insects at dusk. But as you imagine the quiet of nothingness, a gentle hush spreads through you. It feels like an invitation, like being allowed to set down every burden, every thought, every echo of self. And yet, you are still here, still thinking, still breathing. You are not nothing. You are presence, awareness, a ripple moving across the surface of time. To contemplate nothingness is not to reach it, but to glimpse the fragile wonder of being something at all. You remember the cosmic background radiation, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang that still whispers through the universe. Even in the deepest space, there is a residue, a fingerprint of creation. True nothingness has perhaps never existed since that first burst of light. Every corner of the universe hums with some trace of being, which means that perhaps the question is not, does space end? But rather, was there ever a time when nothing truly was? Your breath slows. You feel the edges of your body blur into the darkness around you. The room seems softer, larger, more spacious than before. It feels as if, for a moment, you are already floating at that impossible brink, where space itself runs out, and only the idea of absence remains. And then a new thought drifts in. If nothingness exists, how could we ever know it? How could consciousness, which depends on presence, ever touch what has no presence at all? Perhaps nothingness is forever hidden, not by distance, but by the very structure of awareness. You wonder quietly if this is why the mind resists it, why the heart trembles at its edge. Because to truly meet nothingness would be to dissolve, to surrender everything that defines you, even the act of wondering. It is not just the end of space, but the end of question itself. And yet, even as you hover on that thought, you feel curiosity kindle again. Because if nothingness cannot be experienced, then what comes closest to it? Is it sleep? Is it the silence between thoughts? Is it the calm after a storm, when the air feels emptied of sound and weight? These small glimpses may be the nearest doorway we have to the quiet beyond space. You linger there, balanced between awe and unease. The quiet of nothingness does not frighten you now. It feels like part of the great rhythm, existence swelling outward, nothingness waiting silently, like the pause between breaths. And as you rest within this vision, you sense the next question rising softly, waiting at the edge of your thoughts, pulling you forward with the gentlest of hands. And you wonder, if nothingness lies beyond, what then of time itself? Could it also end, or does it drift on endlessly, even where space has ceased to be? You are lying beneath the vast canvas of the night, and the stars above feel both close and infinite. Their light is ancient, yet it brushes gently against your eyes, as though arriving for you in this exact moment. And here, in this stillness, you notice something subtle. Science, like the stars, does not end with a single point of light. It spreads, multiplies, refracts. It is not a book of answers, but a conversation that never closes, an orchestra that never resolves its last note. Scientists often begin not with "this is," but with "what if?" The what if stretches like a thread through centuries. What if Earth is not the center? What if space itself bends? What if time is not constant? These questions ripple across generations, like voices carried in an endless canyon, echoing, reshaping themselves with every return. Imagine the first astronomers tilting their faces to the sky, seeing only with their eyes. They drew maps of constellations, connecting dots into myths and gods. Their science was wrapped in story. Centuries later, telescopes pierced the night, and suddenly stars were no longer gods, but suns, immense and burning, some with worlds orbiting them unseen. Then came radio waves, infrared vision, space probes, and the universe unfolded further still. A sky layered with truths no naked eye could hold. And yet, even with this widening vision, no one declared, "We are finished." Instead, the questions deepened, like roots burrowing into unseen soil. One scientist says, the universe is flat, an endless sheet, stretching outward with no edge. Another suggests it curves, like the surface of a sphere, looping back on itself in a grand cosmic circle. Both build models, both test their mathematics, both look upward with hope that the sky might whisper back. Neither is entirely satisfied because every measurement carries shadows of uncertainty. And so the conversation continues. Science is not a temple of certainties. It is a garden of dialogue. Imagine walking through such a garden, paths branching in every direction, some ending abruptly, some curving back into themselves, some leading toward vistas that open suddenly into breathtaking landscapes. Scientists wander this garden together, sometimes arguing, sometimes laughing, sometimes getting lost. Yet the garden grows because of their wandering. When you listen closely, you hear how science speaks in many voices. One speaks in the crisp language of mathematics, drawing elegant lines on a blackboard, tracing equations like poetry made of symbols. Another speaks through experiments, lasers pointed, detectors humming, silent laboratories filled with patient waiting. Another voice belongs to theory, whispering wild possibilities, multiple universes, hidden dimensions, particles that vanish and reappear. None of these voices silences the others. Instead, they weave together, harmonizing even when they disagree. You feel this rhythm, this pulse, not as a demand for answers, but as an invitation. It is as though science itself says, "Come sit with us. Come wonder with us. Come ask with us." Some ideas rise and fall like passing tides. Once, scientists believed in a steady, unchanging universe, eternal and fixed. Then the discovery of cosmic expansion arrived, and the picture shifted, galaxies moving apart, space itself stretching. Later, dark energy entered the stage, a mysterious force driving expansion faster still. Now, the steady universe is gone, replaced by a restless, accelerating cosmos. And yet, the steady idea is not discarded in shame. It remains as a remembered step, part of the path that carried us here. In this way, science is a story not of being right, but of becoming less wrong. Each generation sands away a rough edge, polishes a surface, reshapes a model. The sculptures of understanding never stand still, never claim perfection. You imagine scientists in different times, across continents, each holding a fragment of a puzzle they cannot complete alone. A monk in medieval Europe, grinding lenses. An astronomer in ancient China, charting a comet. A physicist in modern Japan, colliding particles near the speed of light. None of them holds the whole picture, but each speaks into the same conversation. It is as though science is a choir that spans centuries, each voice entering and fading, yet the music continues without pause. And in that choir, disagreement is not dissonance, but harmony. One scientist says time began in a big bang. Another suggests the universe cycles endlessly, expanding and collapsing, like the breath of eternity. Another dreams of multiverses, countless realities blooming like flowers on an invisible field. None can prove their vision entirely, not yet. But their debate is the heartbeat of curiosity. You notice how this endless conversation resembles your own thoughts before sleep. Ideas drift in, overlap, contradict, wander off, return again. You do not stop them, you let them flow. In the same way, science flows, restless, meandering, never truly concluding. There is comfort in this, because if the universe ended in a final answer, curiosity would fall silent, and silence, though peaceful, would no longer sing. Instead, science allows wonder to remain alive. It allows mystery to breathe beside knowledge. Think of the multiverse, for instance. Some scientists imagine it as an ocean, and our universe as one wave upon its surface. If true, there are countless other waves, countless other universes, each with its own laws, its own symphony of stars. Others doubt, saying, perhaps not, and here again, the conversation stretches, not toward closure, but toward deeper mystery. Or consider the shape of space itself. If it is flat, you could walk forward forever and never return to where you began. If curved, a straight line would eventually loop you back, as though the universe were a great sphere. Each possibility shifts how you imagine your place within it. And yet, the answers remain open, the sky withholding its final word. Science lives not in the answers, but in the asking. You can feel this in your own breath. Inhale, and it is a question. Exhale, and it is a response. Breathing itself is an endless conversation, one you do not control, but participate in. Science is much the same, a breathing of ideas, in and out over centuries, and so you rest, knowing that the conversation will not end tonight, nor tomorrow, nor in the lifetime of any single scientist. It stretches forward, as infinite as the stars. You imagine the future. Perhaps new instruments will see further, peeling back cosmic horizons. Perhaps new particles will be found, reshaping our theories. Perhaps a child not yet born will one day discover something so profound it shifts every foundation we thought was firm. And when that happens, the conversation will not end. it will only swell with new voices. Science, like the universe it studies, is not static. It expands, it bends, it evolves, it whispers in questions, never in finalities. And as you close your eyes, you feel part of this endless dialogue. Not because you have an answer, but because you, too, can wonder. And to wonder is to join the choir, to add your voice to the hum of curiosity that has never been silenced. Perhaps this is the truest gift of science, not certainty, but companionship. The sense that you are not alone in your questions, that across time, across cultures, across stars, others are asking too. And so you drift gently, carrying the hum of this conversation with you, knowing it will be there when you wake, knowing it will be there long after, because the questions do not end. And the next question rises softly, waiting at the edge of your thoughts. You lie here quiet, as the weight of the day drifts away. The air around you feels still, yet your mind drifts outward, reaching for the sky beyond your ceiling. Above you, unseen but always present, the universe stretches in every direction. A canvas so wide, so deep, so unknowable, that words themselves feel small against it. But tonight, you do not shrink before this immensity. Instead, you step softly into it, as though the universe itself has been waiting for you to arrive. In this vastness, you are both tiny and infinite. Like a drop of water that mirrors the ocean, your mind carries reflections of the cosmos. Each thought you hold is a spark of starlight. Each breath you take is an echo of ancient winds that once swirled through the birth of suns. And as you listen to the rhythm of your breath, you sense how connected you are, how impossible it is to be separate from the great unfolding. You close your eyes and imagine the stars, not as pinpoints scattered on a flat page, but as beacons spread across the depths of three-dimensional space. Every star has its distance, its story, its gravity that bends light and draws worlds into orbit. To see the night sky is to look into history itself, for the light you glimpse left those suns years, centuries, even millennia ago. The sky is not a still picture. It is a river of time flowing toward you, entering your eyes and lighting the stage of your imagination. And yet, for all its enormity, this universe does not ignore you. The atoms in your body were shaped in the furnaces of stars. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen in your lungs, all forged in stellar explosions billions of years ago. When you stretch your hand outward, it is not only skin and bone that moves through space, it is the memory of galaxies condensed into the form of you. To feel small in the universe is natural, but to forget that you are the universe in a form that can think and dream would be the greater mistake. Perhaps you wonder, where do you belong in this endless expanse? Astronomers once asked the same. They built instruments to measure the heavens, believing Earth must sit at the center. But with each discovery, the center dissolved. The Earth circled the sun circled the galaxy itself swam in a cosmic ocean among countless others. No center, no fixed point, no place to pin as the beginning or the end. And yet, in this very absence of a center, something beautiful emerges. Every point, including where you are now, can be thought of as the center, for the universe expands equally in all directions. You, listening here, in your quiet corner of Earth, are just as central as any star in any far-off cluster. It is strange, isn't it? To be at once utterly ordinary and profoundly special, Ordinary because you are made of the same elements as stars and trees and oceans. Special because you are a conscious being who can reflect on that truth, who can pause in the silence of night and wonder, what does it mean to exist at all? Your thoughts drift further. Imagine standing on a mountain at midnight, gazing at the Milky Way stretched like a river of light. The galaxies beyond your own remain invisible to your naked eye, yet they are there, each containing billions of stars, each star with the potential to cradle worlds. Somewhere out there, life may be stirring, breathing, perhaps even asking the same questions you do. In this possibility, you are not alone. You are a voice among voices, a listener among listeners, scattered across the cosmic sea. Science, too, whispers to you in the dark. It tells you of the cosmic microwave background, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang still shining across the universe. If you could tune your senses to those ancient waves, you would hear the first breath of creation itself. Imagine that. A hum that has never ended, stretching across billions of years, now softly bathing you as you rest. You are not just looking out into the cosmos. You are immersed in it, wrapped in its light, swimming in its earliest memories. But beyond science lies something subtler, a feeling, a quiet recognition that wonder itself is a kind of belonging. You do not need to solve every mystery to be part of it. You do not need to chart the edge of space to know that you are included. The very act of wondering, of asking whether space has an end, of imagining infinity while lying in the stillness of your room, places you in communion with the cosmos. Wonder is not an answer. It is the doorway that keeps you connected. Your place in the vastness, then, is not marked on a map. It is not a set of coordinates or a name in a catalogue. It is the intimacy of experience, the way you feel the night sky in your chest, the way curiosity stirs in you like a tide, the way you close your eyes and sense that you belong to something larger, something without measure. And in this stillness, you also find humility. For as much as you know, there is infinitely more that remains hidden. Galaxies beyond galaxies, dimensions beyond dimensions, mysteries that not even the boldest instruments can yet touch. You cannot hold it all, but you can rest in the truth that it holds you. The universe cradles you as surely as the earth carries you tonight. The thought calms you. It softens the sharp edges of worry, the noise of the day, the demands that tug at your waking mind. For a moment, all that remains is the vastness and your gentle place within it. You are not lost in it. You are not erased by it. You are simply folded into it, like a note in an infinite symphony. You take a breath. You let it out slowly. And with it, you feel yourself expand, as though your awareness has no boundary. Your skin is no longer the edge of you. You reach into the stars, into the dust of galaxies, into the quiet blackness that is not empty at all, but alive with potential. And perhaps, in this space of imagination, you realize that the question of whether the universe ends is not as important as the feeling that wonder does not. Each night, sky you gaze upon, each question you ask, each dream you carry, they are all part of the same endlessness. You are not apart from it. You are it, reflecting back on itself, awake and listening. So tonight, as you drift toward rest, hold this truth gently. You are not small in the way you fear. You are small in the way a seed is small, carrying within you the echo of stars, the possibility of worlds, the quiet infinity of thought. You belong not by scale, but by essence. And as your eyes grow heavier, you sense the next question rising, unformed yet insistent. If space itself feels endless, then what of the mind that contemplates it? If the universe is vast, what about the space within you, the landscapes of memory, dream, and thought that stretch without clear borders? The chapter closes, but not the wondering. You rest now, carried gently forward by the thought that the next journey is not outward, but inward, into the cosmos that lives inside your own awareness, waiting to be explored. And as your breath slows, you feel it, the universe not only outside you, but within you, vast and unending. Perhaps the next journey is not into the stars, but into the galaxies of your own mind.